Welcome to another episode of the Empowerment Platform Show, where our goal is to simply empower you to reach your goal. And tonight I have a special guest with me, Vonne Williams, and we're going to be talking about wealth building. Vonne, how you doing this evening?
I feel all right, Tyrus. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You know, we're doing the best we can with everything going on in the world, but we keep moving.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Vonne, for the guest, and we're talking about wealth building, kind of start with your story, where you started at, and how do you become or get into that wealth building side of it?
All right. So the last time that the market crashed, like crash back in 2007, and after a really nasty breakup, I found myself living in my minivan.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And so, you know, that was very traumatic. I was in a really bad headspace. And going through all of my steps and all of my processes, I found myself doing different kinds of research, right? And learning how to get a hold to different resources. And, you know, I began to speak to other. So wait, let me back up a little bit. So I'm also a disabled veteran.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so there was a program down at the VA, and as I was speaking to other veterans, you know, we would share resources. You know, I found out we can do this, or I found out that this place was hiring, or whatever. And I started talking to other veterans about budgeting, right? And budgeting was a household word growing up. So that was something that was down in me. Like I knew how to do that with, you know, like the back of my hand.
Okay.
And so I began to teach them. And as I was teaching them, I'm like, hey, you know, I kind of like this. Let me see what else we can do. And so not only did they become conscious of where their money was going, so that they didn't find themselves in that homeless, so that we did not find ourselves in that homeless position again.
Right.
So we learned how to manage our money, and while we were learning how to manage ourselves, because you know we being in the military and going to, you know, different conflicts and wars, it kind of does something to you.
Absolutely.
So as we were learning how to manage ourselves, we also learned how to manage our money, so that we wouldn't find ourselves, you know, living in our vehicles, or living, you know, at somebody else's house where we didn't want to be, or finding ourselves in abusive situations because we didn't have any other choices.
Right.
And so that's kind of how I got into it, from, you know, that situation.
Okay. And that's interesting that budgeting had been in the household. In what ways? Because I'm a disabled veteran as well. So
Awesome.
we have something in common that I didn't even know. When I was growing up, we had, but didn't have a lot. So we didn't necessarily use budgeting. We got to make the ends meet. So from your perspective, when you were coming up and budgeting was something that was done in the house, was it because you needed to make ends meet, or were your parents financially sound?
My parents were pretty okay. They did all right. And so budgeting was a household word, so that we knew where everything was going. They knew how much was left over. How much was left over when we, you know, paid for the mortgage and the gas and the lights and the water. And we paid for, you know, the cars and the insurance and, you know, whatever else, and made sure that, you know, my sister and I had school clothes and, you know, whatever else we needed. And so that's where all of that came from. You know, we weren't really ones to, you know, take a bunch of lavish vacations. Maybe we went away once a year to, you know, I'm from North Carolina, down to Wrightsville Beach or something like that. But, you know, it wasn't anything like that. We weren't doing anything extravagant.
Okay.
But they didn't find themselves with nothing until the next paycheck.
Got it. Totally understand.
Yeah.
So as you go and you speak with veterans and you're teaching them, and you're all kind of partnering, working with one another to learn budgeting, where did you take that next step? Where, for us, and we're thinking about wealth building, What are some avenues that we can begin for beginners? I want to start at, hey, I'm just now getting my debt taken care of. Now I
Mhm.
have a little money to invest somewhere. What are some ways that we can begin to invest, and where do you recommend we start?
I say start with the most simplest thing. Like, we all now have smartphones.
Hmm.
So there's no excuse why we can't use all the apps and make ourselves smarter. So
Right.
there's apps like Stash, there's
Hmm.
apps like Robinhood, where you can start with $1, $5, $10, whatever your budget will allow. And you can invest in Apple, in Facebook, in Amazon. So us little guys can
Yep.
now start to get in on the game. So we can get in on the game. And I say invest as opposed to sitting in a savings account. In a savings account, it's earning what, a half of a penny, 1/10 of a penny every
Right.
month, something
Low.
like that. Whereas if you take that same five, 10, $100, whatever you can afford,
Hmm.
and put it in a stash account and invest, $10 in Apple, $10 in Amazon, $10 in, some pharmaceutical, $10 in gold, or on Robinhood, $15 in Bitcoin
Hmm.
or Ethereum, some other cryptocurrency, whatever you like. It's at least it's growing. It's
Right.
growing. And if the market crashes, you're not any better off than you were having your money sitting in a savings account.
Hmm.
And when we invest in companies that we already know are not going out of business. Amazon's not going out of business.
Right.
They're not going out of business for a long time. Jeff
Right.
Bezos, we made him another $1 trillion in Q2. It's not going out of business. You can put all your money in Amazon if you want to. It's not going anywhere. At the very least, you'll earn, a few more dollars than what you put in.
Okay.
Right? Apple's not going out of business, right? Facebook, yeah, they're having some racial issues. They're not going anywhere though.
Right.
It's just not. So I say start there, $1, $5,
Mhm.
$10. Like, and once you build up that muscle, then let's start to buy some whole shares. Let's buy
Okay.
whole. Let's go to E Trade or TD Ameritrade. Let's buy some whole shares of the same stocks and begin to build wealth that way.
Okay.
And when we even I'll even take it a step further. When we begin to get $10,000, $15,000,
Mhm.
$20,000, now let's look at putting some money down on some real estate
Okay.
and getting that residual cash flow every month. Um, yeah, yeah, that's where the whole retirement thing comes in. But I'm sure we'll get to that. We're,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
building we're building some steps here.
Yeah, definitely, because most people, when you talk to them about wealth building, one, it has never been discussed before, so
Hmm.
there's a little fear. I think a lot
Yes.
of it is just, not knowing what the next step is,
Right.
and when I was growing up, the families were very tight with their money.
Hmm.
And they didn't trust a lot, so they were putting that money under the mattress, or they wanted just to be in the bank because in certain situations they had invested with someone and lost that money, or someone took
Absolutely.
it. And we know through history,
Hmm.
a lot of times people, you were investing in certain places and they took the money. We
Yeah.
were not going to turn into a full-blown racial show, but it is history and proof that blacks did invest wealth in banks, and their money was taken from them.
Absolutely.
Then there was
Absolutely.
the mindset that, okay, I need to keep what I got
Hmm.
and keep it safe.
Yep.
So there's a mistrust there, and that mistrust was passed down to generations and children that now we don't know anything about wealth building. And I like when you started with the fractional shares in the stocks, because I have a Robinhood account. I only play in it a little bit. Still learning,
Yeah.
but that allows you to get those fractional shares that you was discussing, and then you
Hmm.
grow into the bigger plays with the TD Ameritrade. Now,
Yes.
with stocks, how do you learn it? Is it something that you just have to do and study?
Yeah, that's why I suggest Stash and Robinhood. They'll send you an email every week or every couple of weeks or something, and it has something that you can read. It takes you about 5-10 minutes, and it breaks everything down like you're 12, so you
Okay.
can get it. So and from there, even on Robinhood, you can learn how to trade options, right? And so it breaks it down so that the average person can get it, or so a fifth grader can understand it, and that way you'll know. Now, experience is the best teacher.
Yes.
Also, when we lose and we take the L is a lesson. So
Right.
when we lose in the stock market, because we may have bought a certain stock when it was at its highest, and then we lose, now we know, okay, I got to watch this thing. I can't just buy it because it's hot today, because
Right.
tomorrow it may not be. But that's a lesson learned.
Okay. And then over time, you just kind of, you study, you watch, you see what's going up, how it comes down, the length of time, and then you just get more familiar. So you really have to be in it. It's just, you got to get in it and let that experience teach you.
Absolutely. And you'll get it, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time, actually. But if you want to play it safe,
Right.
buy your Amazons and your Apples and just let it sit there for the long haul. Invest your $5 or $10 per month and just kind of watch it grow. If you want to get in there and play, get in there and play. Now, day trading is something very different. It's a very intricate science. It's very lucrative. You can make a lot of money, but if you don't know what you're doing, you'll lose everything.
Wow.
Everything. Yeah.
And I think day trading is a whole nother conversation.
It's a totally different animal, man. It's yeah, but you really got to know what you're doing. And there's a way to learn it, but it definitely takes time, and patience, and you can't be emotional. We can't be emotional with any of this stuff. So because it's all risky. It's all risky. Some is safer. You just got to decide what your risk tolerance is.
Yes. And that's another thing that I was going to bring up. A lot of people say, if it's not, I don't know, I don't have the money, or it's risky. And I think everything is risky. I think it was Jim Rohn that said, if you wake up, you go outside, it's risky. You get in the car to go to work, it's risky.
It is. Everything is a risk.
You just have to have that knowledge, and that minimize or mitigate some of that risk, the more knowledge that you have.
Absolutely. And it is, and no, I don't want to turn this into, a racial conversation either, but at one point we as African Americans, when we got here from Africa, we were the currency. We were traded for goods and for services, and so it's also in our DNA, outside of the mistrust, that our worth is a cow, or our worth is a bushel of corn.
Right.
So we were traded for these things, and that's a conversation that's also it's in our system. And so when we get to the point where we understand where we came from, and that we are kings and queens, that we can restore ourselves back to our rightful place, and taking the risk to invest in stock, to get in on the game, because we're in America now, and the game is played, on the stock market. It's played in real estate.
Absolutely.
It's played in the riskier things. It's played in paying less taxes. When we understand that, man, listen, that's when the conversation of wealth and creating it generationally, that's when it starts to happen, when we understand who we are.
That's good. That's good. Having knowledge of self.
Yes.
And that's part of that growth, and that mental and that mindset, that preparation in the mind, because all of this stuff is doable. We have to win the battle in the mind first, and then we can start to win the battle on the streets, if you will.
Come on now. You're
and
right.
Now, let's jump to the next thing. So we play in the stock market a little bit. We start to gain a little bit of money, have some momentum. And I know Jamal King talks about it a lot, real estate, the real estate game. And I really like his approach. And I've known others in the past that have had that same approach. Let me get assets to pay for liabilities, and not work my job to pay liabilities, but let me start to change my mindset and invest first. Put that money first and then pay my bills, or maybe I need to decrease my standard of living for a little while, but I need to invest. So if I'm brand new and I want to get into the real estate game, where should I start? Where should I go?
First and foremost, get yourself educated.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, or you're going to lose a lot of money. That one is a very expensive lesson. If you don't know what you're doing, you'll lose everything. That course of his, that Make Real Estate Real,
Mm-hmm.
is the truth. It is the truth. It shows you step by step by step by step. And first and foremost, we definitely have to get our credit right. That's first and foremost. Outside of down payment. So I got a nice down payment, but my credit is kind of questionable, right?
Right.
Well, now I can't get the financing that I need to either fix and hold or fix and flip. I can't get the money, even if it's a hard money lender. And even if it's a hard money lender, what is my interest rate going to be?
Right. 70%.
You're defeating your purpose. So you're going to work much harder. I say, and this is, a Vonneism. I say, build up some more equity or build up some more savings and work on your credit for 6 months to a year. Make sure that you understand how the game is played, as opposed to, I got $25,000. I can go and do it. Yeah, but you haven't met anybody and nobody knows who you are. Your network is worth everything.
Yes.
So if you're going into business with somebody that you don't know, they can just take your money and be off.
Oh yeah. It happens all the time.
All the time. So, I believe that there is a time and a place for everything. I believe that everything happens in its own divine time. And get yourself educated. Don't go into it next month just because you have the money. Education is key, and Make Real Estate Real, I'm telling you, is the truth. And that network is second to none. You can't buy that network.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. And for the people, Make Real Estate Real is a course by Jamal King. He's a part of the ET family now. He has a real estate course that, like Vonne said, takes you through the basics all the way of how to do the deals, what you're looking for, how to build your team, because you need different team members. It's not just houses, it's contractors, attorneys, CPAs or tax accountants. You need all of these different pieces, insurance, to be able to buy a property, and either you're going to hold it, which is a rental, or you're going to flip it. And so the wealth is built in rentals, building a portfolio, having that generational wealth, that thing, that passive income. And don't get it twisted. When we say passive, it's still not just money in the bank. You have to do a little bit of work. Even if you have a property manager, you still have to do some work to make sure that your asset is really paying off. Because I know, Vonne, I've been in the real estate game for a while. I know a lot of people that got in, bought rentals, they didn't buy right, didn't go in right, losing money every month, losing money through the year. And they're like, well, I have these rentals, but I'm not making any money. Well, you didn't buy it right. You paid too much. You didn't get the rent that you thought you were going to get. And then you didn't renovate it all the way through.
Wow.
So you're stuck. And that is a game that a lot of people try to jump in, like you said, uneducated. There are a lot of moving parts in the real estate game.
Yeah.
But you can definitely do it.
Oh yeah, you can do it, but it's perseverance, and it's knowledge, and it's learning, and again, that divine timing. It doesn't, things don't just kind of happen by happenstance just because you kind of want it to happen. You hit the nail right on the head. People don't do it right, but that's kind of with everything. If you think about it, we're impatient as a people, and the human beings are impatient. Right. We want instant gratification.
Right.
And Jamal makes it look easy, but he's been doing it for 20 some odd years.
Yes.
So he can do it in his sleep. But I'm a new investor. I haven't bought my first property yet. So,
Mhm.
and just because I have the down payment, that doesn't mean that I go out and buy a property tomorrow. I don't know how to do it. The tax returns, I got you on that one. All right. The math, I got the accounting, I got you on that. But the actual broker,
Mhm.
project manager,
Yep.
the contractor, the inspector, I don't know how to do that. So, I'm looking to them to teach me. And I listen to everything that he says. So if you don't know, listen to an expert, listen to a guru. If you
Right.
don't know how to do tax return, come and holler at me. You don't know, you don't understand, accounting, come and holler at me. Go listen to the gurus. Listen to, find you a broker in your area that you trust. Talk to them.
Mhm.
Pick people's brains. The networking, even in your own area, is you can't beat it. People love to talk about what they know.
Right. Yep.
You just ask
Absolutely.
them. Just ask them.
Get that knowledge. So you mentioned your taxes. You have a tax practice.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that. What areas do you focus on? And wealth building, there has to be an element that has to do with taxing and taxes and knowing how to get the right deductions and set up your tax structures right. So take us through that. Tell us about your tax practice, and then tell us how we can build wealth by knowing and understanding the tax game. And I got a question
All
for you.
right.
When you go through it, I said, I'm gonna ask it right now.
Come on.
There are
What you
what,
got? Oh, goodness.
26,000 pages in the tax code?
5,600.
5,600. How in the world do people go through that information? Just take me in the mind of a tax practice, that paperwork, and how does it work?
So we don't go through the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay? We don't go through the whole thing. The code does not change much from year to year.
Okay.
So the things that change, that's what we focus on in that particular year. If we don't get any alert or some update, then it didn't change. All
Okay.
right. Um, Let me just say this: the tax code itself was written, the tax laws are written for business owners
Mm,
by business owners. Who
mm,
are the lawmakers? They all own businesses.
yep.
So they're going to write the code, they're going to write the law for their benefit. Hear me, people, hear me. My tax practice is geared more towards entrepreneurs, gig
Okay.
workers, independent contractors, small business owners, like that.
Mhm.
If you are a independent contractor or a gig worker, that's what they're calling them now, gig worker, you are looked at by the federal government as a small business. Business owners can take there's about 400 or so deductions that we can take.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna need you to pass a plate on that one.
Yeah.
There's
400.
about 400 different
Wow.
tax deductions that we can take. Okay. So in my practice, I educate. If somebody comes to me with a 1099 and they've made $65,000 a year, yes, they're
Mhm.
going to owe a lot in taxes. But what they don't understand is that they can write off their cell phone. They can write off their going and their coming. If they eat lunch during the time that they are working, right?
Right.
Whatever they have spent, if they got to buy a uniform or get your shirt pressed and dry clean
Mhm.
to perform that job, all of that is deductible. If you work in your house, which is what's happening now,
Yeah.
even if you have a job, there's a portion of your bills that you can write off because the company you work for is probably not going to reimburse you for that. But now everybody's working from home, right? So if you're an independent contractor like myself, I have an office, but I can't, as much as I want to separate, I cannot get away from working at home. I
Mhm.
want to, it doesn't happen. So part of my home, there's a deduction for me having, an area in my home exclusively for work and for business.
Right.
Part of my internet bill, part of my electricity. Um, your travel, your vacations, if you will. If you're independent contractor, sorry, you probably don't have another life. You're gonna talk about business. I went on a cruise. I gave a class. Listen, it doesn't Like, so I never get away from it. Part of my vacation is going to be written off.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. So, and it's not a loophole. And then, I had somebody ask me, well, when are they going to catch this loophole? Catch the loophole? It's the law. It's not a loophole. It's not a loophole. So part of my practice is to educate. All income is not the same.
Okay.
Right? There's earned income, there's passive income, there's ordinary income. The income we're talking about, Jamal, the income that he makes,
yeah,
a lot of that is not taxable.
Wow.
So have you ever heard this little quote, something that says the rich get richer and the poor get poorer?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because the rich don't pay taxes.
They find out how to, and I know it was one of the, who was it? Might have been Jeff Bezos. It was one of those billionaires that they said, oh, he paid. No, it was Warren Buffett. His one of his cleaners or somebody that worked for him had a higher tax rate than he did.
Right. That's right. No, it's his secretary. His secretary had a higher tax rate than he did. So yeah, Warren Buffett and Robert Kiyosaki and all those guys, they are investors. Investment money is taxed differently. It is taxed way lower than the $65,000 that you made on your job.
Wow.
Yeah. People who have a job, who get a W-2, get taxed first, and then you get what's left over. Investors, business owners, we pay taxes last. I make my money during the year. I take all of my deductions. I figure out what's passive. I figure out what's taxable, and then I give them what I want them to have. And so if I have made the same $65,000, hypothetically speaking, and I send them $1, I'm okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how that works. And that's how the rich get richer. And the poor working class get poorer because they're paying all their money in taxes. Yeah.
So as working people, working class, then the next step is to figure out how to get your money into investments.
Right. That's where the real estate comes in.
Okay.
That's where the stock dividends comes in. Okay. Dividends and interest is taxed differently than earned income. Earned income is taxed the highest. The highest. They like to say that even self-employment income is taxed the highest because it's earned income, right? But the thing is the difference is that really the only taxes that you pay is self-employment tax. And then there's, everything else is deductible. So you can break yourself even.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how that works, man. All income is not the same.
And for most people, we don't even think about that. You just go to work. You're in the rat race. You think you're doing what's best.
Yeah.
And then you put a little bit of money in savings in the bank. And you never really get that true wealth or that true generational wealth passed down.
Exactly. And but what we have done though is that we have passed down jobs and problems.
Yes.
We have this generation does better than the next one. But if we think about it, we're all told to go to college. And I have a college degree, but I'm not doing anything with it.
Right.
I majored in engineering and I'm in finance now. So, whatever. So, but that was back when during the industrial age. Now we're in the technological age. We don't have to be in a factory. We don't have to be in an office anymore, crunching numbers or, making somebody else money. So there's lots and lots and lots of opportunity because now, with the pandemic, there's a lot of problems that need to be solved. So all we got to do is get ourselves in our niche. If there's a problem in our niche and we can go there and get it and make money from it, there you go. So there's that ordinary income that I was talking about, or self-employment income, right? And as we grow, now we own the business and have somebody working for us. Now they make us money. There's payroll deductions and We're not really working for it, but they're making us money. And that's what happened, from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We all go to college. We learn a skill. We go work for somebody else. They pay us for our time, and it's taxed ridiculous. It's just, if you're a single person with no kids, you're
Right.
getting, half your paycheck is gone. And you're like, what am I really doing here? So we're taught to be worker bees. So, back in my small town of Reedsville, it was, my grandfather was the first generation that worked at American Tobacco. My father worked at American Tobacco. Now I work at American Tobacco,
Mhm.
and my kids are going to come along and work at American Tobacco. Now they may not be in the tobacco, the factory packing cigarettes. They might be in the office, so they may have moved up. But grandma, grandpa, my father, everybody worked in the plant because that's where we worked. We didn't work in the office. But my son might work in the office. You see what I'm saying?
And
So
then
that's what we have passed down to each other.
for that, when he's working in the office,
Mhm.
everybody else is gonna say you got a good job.
Right.
You got more opportunity. This is
Yeah.
much better than what we came from. So we're
Right.
still behind in the real game.
Absolutely. And now grandpa and great grandpa on Social Security, maybe they got some profit sharing, but their earned income is now cut in half,
Mm.
and they still paying taxes on that Social Security income or that 401k income. They're paying taxes on that, and they may even owe. So the rat race doesn't stop once they retire.
Wow. And that's
Yeah.
why when I look back at some people, and I have family members too, they have retired and they have part-time jobs.
Yeah. Because they can't afford, or they gotta make decisions. Now I gotta
Mm.
decide whether I'm going to pay my light bill, or I'm gonna eat, or I'm gonna pay for my medicine. Which one is it gonna be? Well, I gotta go get a part-time job because I need all three.
Wow.
And so that's another reason why I do what I do. It really hurts my feelings to, drive through the drive-through at McDonald's. Well, I shouldn't be eating that anyway. But here's grandma at the
Yep.
drive-through, you know,
Right.
or working at the local Walmart, being a greeter or whatever. Like, they don't have no business doing that, but they need the money. And it bothers me because, I believe that my generation, I'm Generation X, I believe that we can change that. Like, I don't want to work at McDonald's. Yes, I have my own business. I probably won't ever stop working, but I can pick and choose at some point,
Right.
right? I don't have to go and get a job at the drive-through, and I don't have to go and get a job at Walmart, because that's pretty much all I can do. I'm not getting a job for nobody. So, and then our kids are gonna, they're gonna have that passive income, where they're gonna be okay. If they decide they want to go work for somebody, they can, but they don't have to, because they have rental properties already coming in. And there's a way that there's
Yeah.
another trick, Tyrus. There's a way that we can get our kids to be on the deeds and on the businesses, like
Mhm.
kids, like minors, be owners of the particular businesses, and then they don't pay taxes because they're underage, and we don't pay taxes because we don't own the properties they do. Boy, let me tell you something. They slick, but they wrote the law for them.
Yes. And when you write the rules for yourself, you win.
Absolutely.
You win.
Absolutely. So all I did was go and study the rules. And I'm like, oh, this is how you do that. All right, bet. Well, now I know it, and everybody around me is going to know it too.
Good, good. So coaching is your passion. And
Yes.
before we get into that aspect, I want to ask you about the Social Change Agents. Talk a little bit about that, the Social Change Agents Institute. What is that, and what do you do in it?
All right. So Social Change Agents Institute is a group started by a young lady named Tiffany Younger. She started it. She was 23 years old.
Okay.
And for the last, she just turned 31. She turned 32. She's been taking a group of people over to South Africa, and we have been doing personal development. We
Okay.
have collaborated with other entrepreneurs over there, different churches, youth organizations, and basically, if you know the history of South Africa, they're what apartheid ended in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
that's not even 20, 30 years yet.
Right.
So think United States, 50s and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So we collaborate with churches, organizations over there, and we bring them personal development.
Okay.
I have brought the disc assessment over there
Okay.
myself. I collaborate with other entrepreneurs, and I will say this: we don't teach them anything. Okay, I would love to say that we teach them something, but I learn way more. I've been 5 or 6 times. I learned way more from them than I could ever offer them. And so the experience is amazing. It's very grounding. Um, but the collaboration is just amazing. And they are getting some amazing results. The entrepreneurs that I collaborate with are growing their businesses. They're giving back to their communities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're fighting for their equal rights.
Right.
It's very South Africa itself is very European
Mm-hmm.
in its nature, which is
Yeah.
disheartening.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. So they have to decide like how they're going to move, but a lot of them want change, and they
Okay.
understand that their change starts with them, and they don't get to blame the system, and they don't get to blame the oppressor. They don't get to blame anybody but themselves. So we get them to do, again, personal development, look inward, understand
Mhm.
who they are, that they are kings and queens, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
that just because right now they may not have running water in their house, that they are the ones that have to do the thing. They are the ones that have to get better
Right.
schools in their communities or in their villages. They are the ones that have to get better housing. They understand that, and so they work hard. They work hard. I speak to the entrepreneurs that have built businesses. I speak to them about once a month still.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's what the social change agents is about. So I'm a change agent.
That's phenomenal to be
Yeah.
able to just take, knowledge, and you say that you learn more from them, but being able to just take what we learn, our ability to create wealth here in this
Yes.
capitalistic country, and to be
Mm-hmm.
able to take that mentality into other places, I'm sure
Yes.
it helps spark something. I
It
know
does.
Akon went to Africa and said that
Yeah.
he was trying to build a lot of things, and I know a gentleman that left from this local area in Maryland. He went and they invested in a hospital. So they're
Mm,
building a hospital over there. I think he
that's amazing.
Liberia. So a
That's
lot of
amazing.
people are going from here, going to
Mm-hmm.
Africa, and sharing that entrepreneurial spirit. And now
Absolutely.
we're seeing that growth. And I think it's going to come back. It's going to return. And then that
Yeah.
knowledge sharing will just be sharper than one another.
And I love it. I love the collaboration, and yeah, we get to share and re-sow
Mhm.
back to our roots and where we came from. And when you go to Africa as an African American, or an African in America, and you
Yeah.
go over there, there's something, again, very grounding about being there. Like as soon as you touch down off that long, 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 long flight, and you come out of the airport, there's something that kind of happens. You're like, wow, okay, I'm home.
Mm.
And so then there's a sense of pride that happens. It's like, okay, they're going to get, whomever I talk to is going to get the very best part of me, and who and I my prayer is that I get the very best part of them. And the exchange is amazing. I can't wait to get back there. I need them to go ahead and just open this whole travel thing back up, because I need to get back to South Africa, man. I've been like 2 and 3 times a year, and now I can't go. Like I'm supposed to be there right now.
That's good. That's good that you're very passionate about that. It shows.
Yes, yes.
Now, you do coaching. So I want to take it this route with the coaching. If
All right.
I was a new client coming to you and
Mhm.
I'm okay, I paid off my debt, I'm okay. I got a little bit of money,
Mhm.
but I just don't know where to start. Take me through a plan. And I want to do this for the audience so they can see, because we don't have to do this alone. Oftentimes we try to do things and we try to ask others and they may not know, but there are coaches in every area of your life where you can go and get that information, that knowledge, that research that somebody else has already done, and they can help walk you through it. So, Vonne, I'm just a client. I'm coming in. We're having to sit down a consultation. I
Mhm.
got a little bit of money. Take me through the steps. Take me through the planning, and then kind of discuss with me what would we do if you were my coach.
All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to want to know where you are now,
Okay.
and I want to know what your end goal is. And then we're going to reverse engineer. So if you tell me, all right, Vonne, I have a little, got my debt under control, have a great credit score. Uh, in 5 years, by the time I am, 25 years old,
Hmm.
I want to have, I want to own some property.
Right.
All right,
Yep.
not a problem, not a problem. And I'm going to ask you some more questions about your spending habits, right? And then I'm going to give you the disc assessment so that I can talk to you and
Beautiful.
in a way that you would get it, right?
Yes.
And we're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about you and where you are and who's around you.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about your spending habits. And I'm going to get to know who you are and what you want way before money comes up, because
Okay.
it's not about money. It's really not. It's all about who you are, what your risk tolerance is, what you want, right? If you and I'm going to ask you about your demographics. Are you
Mm.
married? Do you have children? Um, who's your closest living relative? Do you have life insurance? I'm going to ask you all of that personal stuff. So we're going to get down and dirty, and I'm going to ask you to be brutally honest with me, because I don't pass judgment. I can't. I was homeless.
Mm.
I'm and if you're not honest with me and I don't feel like you're telling me everything, then we won't go any further.
Okay.
I need honest, open, vulnerable conversation. And I'm going to coach you through it. If you're having some I'm not worthy conversations, then I'm going
Mhm.
to coach you through it. Because if you don't feel like that you're enough, you'll never have enough. You'll never get to enough. So
Wow.
if I'm not worthy enough for wealth and riches, then we're going to waste each other's time. And I'm not going to waste your money to
Mhm. Yeah.
coach you and you're not ready, right? And so if you're in, and depending on where you fall in the disc assessment, I'm going to ask you about your values. If
Mhm.
if I can get you to get the values assessment, then I'm gonna what is your motivator and
Right.
why do you want to do this? So I need to know who you are before we ever get to talk about money. That's because money is the energy. Money is the result. Money is the wealth is the result. Where are you? Because what really what we're talking about is relief. We're talking about relief.
Absolutely.
I need to hit the lottery so I can get out of debt. But you're that's a poor person's mindset. I'm gonna
Right.
hit the lottery, but what you're talking about is I'm gonna hit the lottery because it's going to give me some relief from all
Exactly.
of this money problems that I have
Immediate.
immediately. But in a month you'll be broke again, even if you do hit the lottery. So we're gonna work on mindset. If getting you to a place where you understand that you know money is the thing that will bring us more wealth, and
Mhm.
money is a very bad master. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
bad
Yeah.
master, but it's an excellent servant. You're going to learn how to tell your money what you want it to do, as
Okay.
opposed to it controlling your move, because it does. We get this. If we go to work, we're gonna get this money, and I gotta get this. And don't you better not act up at school, because if I gotta leave my job to come down
Right.
to that school and I'm gonna lose money, then we're gonna have a problem. That's
Yep.
that's control.
Wow.
It's the master. So So we're going to get you to the point where you're in the mindset of wealth.
Okay.
Then we'll talk about money.
That's good. And that's a whole, you could spend some time there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because getting people just to see, understand, acknowledge, be truthful, and even have the mindset open just to get there,
Yep.
it takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of work. There's a lot of undoing we got to do. Didn't you hear me talk about what's in our DNA with
Oh,
us being the
absolutely.
currency? That's generational trauma that we got to fix. That we got to handle, right? Then that takes time. I'm 52 years old. I got 52 years of crap that I got to, undo. So wherever you are in your life and however you grew up and what was your conversation? If you
Mhm.
grew up like me, we did okay. We weren't hurting for anything. We had everything that we needed. But well, we got money. They worked. We got money. We paid bills.
Right. Yep.
We ain't doing that no more. Like, yes, it has to happen, but like that can't be the focus. Like,
Right.
what are we gonna do? What are we gonna tell this money to do? How are we gonna be happy? How are we gonna live our life? Not stress free, but not having to worry about money. Come on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a great starting point. Now,
Yeah.
a question about the stocks. If I get a person or you get a person that they just don't want to learn, do you
Mm-hmm.
recommend, I guess, what they would call managed accounts? You just put your money in there and a broker or somebody manages it, they put it in different places. How does that work?
Yeah, you can hire a stockbroker to do
Okay.
that. Absolutely. But they are going to take a percentage of your earnings.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you don't have to worry about it. I believe that you can tell a stockbroker what to do. You want to say, all right, I want you to buy Amazon for me, or I want you to buy, ETA for me. Then the
Mhm.
stockbroker will do that. However, a financial advisor or financial consultant is going to sell you a product. So
Okay.
they're going to take your money, put it in an annuity or an indexed fund or 401k.
Mhm.
And if you didn't know, 401ks are just in the stock market. So if stock
Right.
market crashes, there goes your 401k. But so you don't have any control over that though. You can't tell them where you want your money to go. Yeah, you can choose whether you want it to go in the safe, the moderate, the high
Mhm.
risk,
Mhm.
the index fund. You can tell them that, but you don't know what's behind the index fund. You don't know what's behind the moderate mix or
Right.
the riskier mix. You don't know. So they're doing that for you. You pay them a little, percentage or whatever, right? The same with the independent financial advisor or a stockbroker. Well, a stockbroker is going to do what you tell them to do, but the financial advisor is going to, get you in a life insurance policy, put you in your annuity, whatever. You don't know what happens beyond that. I
Okay.
say, if you want control, hire you a stockbroker, pay a little bit more money,
Okay.
right? If you just don't want to do it yourself. Otherwise, like take 5 or 10 minutes, open your stash account, look at it once, twice a week, once every 2 weeks to see how it's doing and, leave it alone.
Okay.
That's just, just know what the difference is of the
Got it.
people.
That's
Yeah.
good information. Good information.
Yeah.
Now you touched on it just now, the 401ks, the retirement accounts. You don't really have control over those. You just pay into them or you elect to pay into them for your job. They're
Right.
in the stock market, so if it crashes, they're gone.
Right.
And I've noticed I used to work for a large corporation. They just did away with pensions
Mm-hmm.
and also did away with your ability to buy stock in those companies as well. So
Yep.
now all you really have is the 401k that can be gone if the
Exactly.
market crashes. What
Right.
should a person do that is working a job? They're putting money into a 401k. Should they lower their amount that they put there to kind of put into their own investment? Or what should their path be in that kind of instance?
Well, if they have a sizable amount in their 401k, they can pull from that
Okay.
to purchase property. And there's really no tax consequence because it looks like a reinvestment.
Mm.
So that's a good way to start. That 401k, we might outlive those 401ks. We don't know. Like I've people are doing pretty good, but they owe at the end of the year. I can't get past the whole tax thing. So I say, pull a few $1,000s out of your 401k, go buy you a couple of investment properties. That's residual income every month. That's going to
Mhm.
supplement your retirement. The 401k, Social Security,
Right.
Social Security is going to go away. Millennials are not getting that. They're not getting that. No, because they keep borrowing from it and they don't put it back. But anyway, besides the point. Um, so yeah, so get you a couple of properties, or in your retirement age, we're still like kicking in
Yeah.
retirement.
Yep.
Go flip some properties, have some fun. It keeps your mind,
Mhm.
keep your mind sharp.
Absolutely.
But I say don't leave all the 401k in there. And if you don't get it, find somebody who does. Find somebody who will help you. Somebody in your family, everybody you know are not shiesty. And if everybody that you know is shiesty, you might want to take a look at, yourself.
Right. Look in the mirror.
Listen, and it's easier said than done, but
Mhm.
like we get to do something different. We got to do something different because this what's happening now doesn't work.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
theory, it just doesn't work. It's not working.
And I think
It.
that
Yeah, go ahead.
we do see it. People that I talk to, people that I know, it's like, man, I don't want to just work and pay bills and die.
Right,
that,
right.
that and no judgment passed for the ancestors. They did everything they knew how to do. They worked with what they had, but that working, everybody I know in my family worked 12, 15-hour day jobs.
Hmm.
Then you go home, you retire,
Hmm. Sort
and
of.
don't do
Yes.
anything. And you
Right.
gotta budget that little bit of money so you don't have to get
Mhm.
that second job.
Right.
And when I was growing up, I was like, you know what? I think I told my mom when I was young, I was like, I'm just not gonna work hard.
Right. No,
Do
listen,
it.
I hear you. No, no. And so our quality of life is garbage. It's
Yeah.
garbage, you know. And in retirement now they do have to watch every single penny, right? They're I think, that those are the golden years. Go do the stuff that you didn't do when you were younger.
Yeah.
You still, should you parasail? Probably not. Like don't do that, don't jump out of airplanes, don't do nothing like stupid, but like go live your life, go travel. Go to those
Mhm.
places that you always wanted to go to. But can't afford it. Can't afford it. So
Yeah.
now, they're sitting around not really doing much because they're tired. And I'm
Yep.
not mad with them about
Yeah.
it, but now their health starts to decline because they're not doing anything else.
Right.
They're eating, they're sitting around, they're not getting up, they're not going anywhere. That some of them become quite reclusive, which isn't healthy either. And
Mhm.
so I'm looking for us, to change that. I'm looking for my generation and the one behind me to do something different. Like and speaking of, like, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. They
Yep.
did all of this work.
Absolutely.
They did all of this work
Absolutely.
so that we would not have to work so hard. You hit it right on the head.
Yep. They did it all. And
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
it
It's
is.
amazing the opportunity that we have, and some people still, we just don't see it or we don't get it. But like you said, it's time out for that. We have to begin to move forward. We have to have a generational mindset, a wealth building mindset,
Yep.
a mindset of being the lenders and not the borrowers,
Come on now. That's
and
right.
start to move forward. So, Vonne, as we wrap up, what is something that you want to leave with the people, a bit of information that you think can really impact them and change their lives?
So I want to reiterate again that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. We will be doing them a grave disservice if we do not do something better. If we
Mm.
do not live our lives in abundant wealth, abundant health, abundant joy, abundant love, and take advantage of everything. Like, we have access to everything right in the palm of our hands. If you don't know something, you can Google it. Then go to Stash and buy you some shares in Google.
Right.
Like there's no excuse why we should die broke. None of us should die broke and unhappy. And I believe that that's the goal for me. I want to see everybody that I come in contact with happy, whole, and complete, living in their own, whatever that is, their own authentic financial abundance. And I believe that it can happen. And I may not see it in my lifetime, but I believe that it can happen. And give. If we all committed to giving, right, without expecting anything in return, like giving 100%, especially in our relationships, be it romantic, be it in business, if we all gave 100%, then nobody would ever be in lack. So let's give, and let's live in our authentic, abundant wealth, health, happiness, joy, peace, and love. And that's all I got.
That's phenomenal. And Vonne, how can people reach you? How can they find you? How can they follow you if they're looking for that business, that wealth coach? How do we get in touch with you?
All right. So on Facebook, Vonne Williams. My business page is Vonne Williams, your business and money coach. On Instagram, it's Vonne Williams, don't die broke.
Ooh,
and
that's
yeah, and my hashtag is don't die broke. You can follow the hashtag as well. I do live on Facebook every Monday and Saturday at 9:20 a.m.
Okay.
And if you want to reach out, you can email info@vonnewilliams.com.
Got it. And I will post these things in the chat. So when you guys watch this and as you're watching it, it'll be there. You don't have to try to remember it all. I got you.
Oh, bless your heart. Bless your heart.
I got it. So, Vonne, thank you so much for coming and imparting knowledge to us, giving us that knowledge, that insight. It is very helpful. I love talking about wealth building because for me, I'm now getting in that mindset as well. That, man, I just can't keep paying bills and not building wealth. What will my kids have? I want them to be able to be financially free and have less burden. And then, like you said, be able to enjoy life and give back.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking your time, coming on and sharing with us. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, the pleasure was all mine. I'm humbled. I'm humbled and grateful that you agreed to have me on. And if there's anything that you need personally, if you want me to come and talk again, I'll come and talk again if you need me to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But you know, we're connected now. So if you need anything, you reach out anytime.
Will do. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Empowerment Platform, where our only goal is to empower you to reach your goals. Thank you.